Alrighty, I'll kick things off now. So basically, the way this is going to work, I'll just do a quick intro on myself. So hey everyone, and I'll go through the agenda. We'll go for a quick demo, and then it's open questions. So for those of you who don't know me, I've never met me before. My name's Jock Lawrence, the founder of Mobble. Yeah, I come from a multi-generation sheep and cattle farm in North Central Victoria, and I started Mobble as I couldn't find a simple flexible solution to help manage our livestock and data and records. And nearly 6 years later now, so it's been a while, and yeah, Mobile is used by over 3,000 farmers and their partners around the world, mainly here in Australia, growing in New Zealand, with Katie helping us do that, and a few other parts of the world as well, which is really exciting. Now, our whole reason for being is to provide a place for farmers like you guys to manage your data, record keeping, animal health, mapping, and more. We don't plan to do everything, but that's not our aim. But what we do is simple and effective, giving you more time to get on with parts of farming or life you're passionate about. So now we put everyone on mute for the moment to minimize background noise and disruptions for people. But if you have any questions as we go, just pop them in the chat. And we'll hopefully get to them. We will get them like pretty much straight away. Kate will just yell them out, and we'll get you off mic if you want to, and we can have a chat about it. So it's all pretty ad hoc. It's pretty laid back. So we'll take it like that. I think 90% of the people in today and people that are watching the recording afterwards are going to be mobblers, people that already use the product or are trying the product. But I did notice there's a fair few people that signed up who, yeah, who have never used Mobble before or even trialed it. So we will do a quick demo of the app as well. So yeah, so we'll be running you through a few different parts of Mobble, and hopefully you walk away with a bunch of new insights and how to make it work and more effective for your farm. So we'll be aiming to keep it below 45 minutes, so we can all go back to our dinners and our families back at home. All right, so I'm going to be sharing my screen well, this is actually a demo farm, but I might go change it to my parents' family farm. Everyone can have a bit of a sticky beak. What's happening down in North Central Vic. And I like having a sticky beak too. We've just I think we're doing weaning and stuff at the moment, or we just finished shearing and weaning and stuff at the moment. So there's livestock everywhere and got fat lambs down on the lucerne and things like that. All right, so I'm going to do a quick overview now. So the agenda tonight, quick overview, quick demo of Mobble, just the real basics. And then I'll jump into a few hacks. At the moment, people adding in natural increases like new cattle or weaners and lambs to Mobble. And I'm going to talk about weaning time as well and how to move and class mobs appropriately. And we've also had a release just today on our feed inventories. It's more releases around our live inventory and how that works. So we'll dive into live inventory a little bit and just show you the changes there if you've missed them. They're pretty cool, and hopefully it's a bit easier to use as well. And then there's a bunch of requests from attendees as well, so we'll power through them, and please just ask questions as we go, because we'll just open up to in a more conversational chat of how to use Mobble. Alrighty, so just a quick overview of Mobble. So Mobble, this is the family farm, and it's a central place to house all your farm and livestock records, livestock and paddocks. There's three main ways to view it and I should start with saying there's two apps. There's one for your mobile phone and there's one for the computer. They work pretty much exactly the same now. But the one on the phone is the one you'll be using out in the yards. It's the one you'll be updating online or offline. And the one back in the computer is the one where when you want a big screen and you want to view a few more reports and graphs and things like that. I'll be showing the computer one, but note that it works very much the same as the mobile one. So what one you'll be using most out in the paddock. So there's three main ways to view Mobble. You can view it the paddocks page, paddocks list, the mobs list, and the maps list. Now start with the map because it's the most visual and it explains how to use Mobble the best. And we're doing a few core things. So we're recording things on livestock, things like mob movements. It's very easy to mob drag and make mob movements. And if I click on this mob, I can record a bunch of other things like mob actions, casualties, sales, and we're also doing a full livestock reconciliation on these reports. So recording casualties, natural increases, sales, and purchases as well. we're doing all your compliance records in there too. So these little red dots up the top means these sheep here are in withhold at the moment. And I can dive in here and view this mob's information and view the history. And I can see my brother Max has applied a drench action when these sheep were boxed up together. So they would have been boxed together at weaning time back on the 24th, and they all got drenched then with a vet jewel. And this is great for compliance because you're basically linking your products from your inventory to a treatment on a mob, and it follows that mob or that split mob or whatever forever through the property. So it's very traceable. It's much better than your paper records for compliance. And when you are getting audited, that all we have had that experience once or twice, it's much easier just to pull up the digital form of Mobble and show them these details. Because it's that the auditors love it and they see it as a way better than your paper record trail. So so I'll just continue with that. I'll continue on that train of thought actually for a second. So similarly with mobs, you can also apply actions to paddocks. Add a paddock action here as you click on a paddock. And that could be anything from spray records, harvest records. It could be WEC counts, all kinds of stuff. And you can kind of customize it to what you want it to be. And with the spray record, for instance, you can add product to that spray record for compliance and stuff like that, but also to track how much product you're using over time on that paddock or in the property. And if that paddock's in withhold, it'll pop up in red and warn you not to move livestock there. Now, yeah, Mobble's it's a full mapping system as well. So not only can you map out your paddocks and you've got your mob locations in those paddocks, you can also map out assets. So you can map out your tanks or your dams. My parents haven't got many things mapped, but I've added some things in before for the webinar. You can map in hazards as well for OH&S, and pretty much anything you want. So my brother's put in a silo here and how much kilos of barley he put into that silo at a date as well. And also things like pipelines and lines and roads. So it can be a full GIS system. So if you've got new employees on the property or contractors or whoever it is, they can get access to the map and see exactly where they are and where they're going and know that information right there on the phone. So it's awesome for that. Other things, so great for grazing records. Quickly on grazing records, you can select paddock and you understand how many days grazed or rested that paddock's been. Also on stocking rates and stuff like that. If you want more information, you can go to the paddock info and we get a full history of that paddock forever. Like it's all its mob movements as well as things like DSE per hectare, the last 12-month averages and stuff like that. And we also graph this out as well. So when you're looking at your sort of grazing pressures over a rolling 12-month period, we actually also show that in a rolling 12-month average graph line there as well. So you can sort of see which paddocks are performing better or worse as well. So I can go back to the paddock list here and see average DC per hectare, and I can actually order that and see which paddocks are producing the most stock. And yeah, obviously the lucerne paddocks have improved pastures down in the flats. We'd expect to see them having the highest rates of DC on the place. I'll come back to stocking units. We're about to release, well, not about to release, we're starting to work on releasing or working on different types of stocking units. So LSU, AE, SU, and stuff like that. So you can choose your stocking unit instead of having a very Southern Australian stocking unit in there, which has been there for too long, which is exciting. And I'm sort of moving away from the main of the app. So let's come back to it. I'm digressing. I apologize. Other reports on Mobble. So other things you can do is property chat in there. There's tasks. So you can add geolocational tasks to the map. So you could say, I think my parents like to put down well, they must have actually just done the spraying. They like to put down weed locations on the map. So it's very easy to add a task and put a location in. Maybe it's weeds, maybe it's a hole in a fence, and add that task to that location. And assign it to people whenever it's notified by that task. Inventories, which I'll come back to in a second. I just want to touch on that a bit deeper. Rainfall, which is always great. You can see a comparison to years in the rainfall there. And you get summaries on all the records that you're doing, like purchases and sales and different things as well. Now, we also have a big reports page, which is your livestock reconciliation report. So under the end of financial year, this is super handy. You can see the change in livestock numbers over that year and a breakdown of those livestock types, breeds, genders, and then breaking it down a bit further into classes and stuff like that as well. Yeah, yeah, just like that, and ages as well. Yeah, so that's sort of like a very generic overview of Mobble. Now I'm going to deep dive a little bit onto inventories right now. So we've just released our live inventories for chemicals and for feed. Feed we just released today actually, so that's all very new and exciting. But basically, there's three main things with inventories. We've made it easier to add product into your inventory via a batch. You can, and the quantity is now live is the second thing. So as you add products to, say, drench records to your livestock or vaccination records to your livestock, you'll see the quantity in your inventory drop. And the third thing is reporting that over time as well. So you can see how much you've used over a year and stuff like that too. So for example, our 5-in-1's gone negative here, which which means that my brother probably hasn't added a batch in recently. So the way we would do that is we'd click on the inventory item. But first up, remember, we have to add in these inventory items to start with. So you have to set these inventory items, the most common chemicals used in the place. And once they're in there for good. You don't have to re-add them again and again. And now it's just a matter of topping it up. So you add a batch, batch ID. If you don't know it, you can always do NA for now and edit it later. And then it's just a matter of adding in a batch as so. So I'll just add this in and I'll delete it later, but like that. And then you have a couple of batches to choose from when you're applying chemical. Now, if I go down into this, into our 5-in-1 here, I can see the usage over time, last 12 months. This is the usage. You can see here, recently we had a big spike in usage. That would have been landmarking time for us. So you can see, how much you've used over different time periods as well. You can compare it to the previous year and work out how much that sort of cost as well, which is pretty cool. And now this has been just released for grain inventories as well. My parents don't use the sort of the feed inventories very well, or don't use it all at the moment. But you can add in, say, your hay to the inventory, and when you feed out hay to your cattle, it will drop down how much hay you've got left in the shed, and then sort of track how much hay you've been using over the year as well. And the way you do that, you basically select a mob or mobs as well. So if there's two mobs in the same paddock, you could do, I'll show you on the map maybe. So if we're feeding these mobs, the view mobs here, let's just say we've fed them all, apply action, and action type would be feeding. And we're adding a product. Hay. You got to select the batch, which is our self-produced hay. And yeah, we could say we've fed out 4 bales of hay or something to these livestock here. And you apply that action. and you'll see in the history, my parents are going to get mad at me. I'm changing all their records. And you'll see back on the inventory that hay is now, it's dropped. So you got 96 units left in there. And you can see there's a usage of 3 units now, or 4 units today. Yeah, so that's a little just deep dive on the inventory stuff we just released. And I will, if anyone's got any questions, just let it rip. I'm going to start doing requests from attendees that they've put in as they've signed up to the webinar. And one of them was how to use live inventory. So hopefully I've covered that. If there's any questions around that, let me know. Or if there was some bugs early on, so we fixed them. But if you've had any issues with it, please let us know. I've got here reports on mob action. So as you're doing treatments to mobs, so as I was saying before, on the map here, these livestock with a red dot, I mean, they're in withhold at the moment, and they've got a mob action that's that is making that withhold. And we have summaries on all these records. So I can go to a mob action summary and I can see the feed we just did. We can filter this down just to see what we want as well. So if you just want to see drench records and vaccination records, for example, we can do that. And to get more information, you just click on that record and you get the full details of the chemical used and stuff like that within the summary, just like that. And you don't need to print this out for when you get ordered. You literally just show them the screen. And this is all the information they need. And you can click into these records and it's got that full breakdown of what's going on there, which is great. So that's how to get reports on mob actions there. So someone's requested about pipelines and water systems. So yeah, so Mobble, you can map out anything you want, and I'll just show you how to map out a pipeline. So you can put it in your dams like this, but so let's just pretend down these lucerne paddocks. Well, there are actually, but they're just not mapped. We can put in your troughs. So you can add a map asset. Now, I wonder if I remember where they are. These are all new paddocks. I haven't actually been seen. Well, this is all new infrastructure, so I haven't actually mastered these paddocks in a long time. Anyway, we can add in the map asset. Make sure we choose the right map asset type. Let's call it a water trough. There we go. You have to give it a name. So I might just call it a water trough. Add it in, and we add that asset. And we can add pipelines as well. So you can imagine, every single paddock having a water trough in there. And then also, if you want to, you can add in pipelines. This is kind of handy. So it's pretty easy to forget where pipelines go. But if you put in a pipeline, you remember where it is at the time. You put it into Mobble. At least you've got that backed up in the system, and it's going back to the water source, which would be a tanker way up on this hill, like so. Add asset, or P1 for pipeline 1. Add asset, like that. And now if we have a look, we've got this big blue line. Now, what's going to happen is it's going to get pretty messy pretty quick. So you're going to end up with lots of lines, lots of little dots all over the place. And you can filter this down to what you want to see. So for instance, map assets here, I can deselect ones that I don't want to use right now. So things like pipelines that you don't need to see today, we can turn that off and simplify the map a bit as well. I think we're getting a few questions coming. Is that right, Katie?
Yeah. So we've heard from Kathy, who was wanting to know about separating sheep and cattle in the reports and when we can expect to see that.
In the report, wow, that's a great question, Kathy. We've actually the guy that founded the company with me is actually doing a bit of work again with us, which is great. And he's actually in the process. I think what you're talking about is in this report section here, separating cattle from sheep. He actually just built a filter. It hasn't been released yet, but I reckon within the next few weeks we'll have a filter on this report that you'll be able to do not just separate sheep and cattle, but you'll be able to, go a bit further and get, say, sheep gender and sheep breeds and really narrow it down to the report that you want to see. So yeah, I think next few weeks, hopefully, I'll make sure he gets this feedback.
Good timing that question. We've got a question from Ian and Annalie Day talking about the possibility of scanning barcodes, say like off a drench drum
Yeah.
or container to automatically enter batch number information. Feel free to
That
unmute yourself, Ian, if you've got any more to add to this.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be awesome. I think the challenge there for us is like trying to work with the chemical companies to be able to get that information across to us. We have sort of experimented with scanning barcodes and stuff like that. It hasn't worked too well. What we probably want to do though is just take a photo. So for instance, say, when you add in a batch for a 5-in-1, there's a bunch of stuff here like date received, expiry date, date of manufacture, which is all a bit of a pain, and batch ID, bit of a pain to input. Um, and we're either going to add in, upload a photo for batch ID, so you can just upload a photo, that'd be pretty quick. Or we have experimented in the past with like, it's kind of like you use your camera to scan the batch ID, and it should just auto-populate. There are a couple of things we're experimenting with, but we'll take that feedback on board and pass it back to the developer as well, because it's something we want to speed up. Yeah, because it's, like it's to do these records on the fly, it needs to be fast. So we want to help speed that up. Otherwise, yeah, it doesn't get done. Hope that helps.
Awesome. And we've got another question here from BJ, just wanting to chat about drenches and combining drenches on an entry. Recently drench
Mm.
hoggets with a bit of a combination and just found it a bit awkward to enter in the drench with editing every drench percentage in the inventory. So yeah, just yeah.
Yeah, let's try and do it. So I'm guessing you've got a drench mix of two different drenches or so that you're pushing together. Um, let's pretend we're drenching this merino ewes. And please note you can bulk do mob action. So you can in this selector here, you can select any, like, as many mobs as you want. There's a bit of a hack. So if you drench all the merino ewes or you're vaccinating all the cattle or the cows, you can select all mobs here and then do it all at once. So you're adding products in. So let's just pretend. So, well, I think you can add multiple products in. Let me know if this is, yeah, you can. So let's pretend we're just mixing these together. Would this work? So if you're doing you could split down the mix. So you're doing, say, 3.5 here and 3.5 mils here to do a total of 7 mil drench application. Yeah, BJ, it was a BJ.
Yeah, BJ, feel free to unmute if you've got more to add or think this might solve your problem.
Or if it doesn't, let us know, or in the chat, please. Yeah,
Yeah.
feel free to. That might do
Hey,
it.
Josh. BJ here, Josh.
How you going, BJ?
Good. How you going?
Good, thanks, mate. Yeah, good to hear from you.
Yeah. Yeah, we drenched our hoggets there with Ramaton, Cydectin long acting and Exi.
Yep.
Yeah, I just found it awkward to enter it without like editing every your total amount. I had to go through and like minus say 4.4 liters of Cydectin Are we able to like put multiple drenches into one and then drench the mob with that? If you know what I
Yeah.
mean.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, I think I know what you mean. So do you mean like in the inventory, just naming it as like as a mix?
Yeah, so like instead of being like just Ramaton, it'll be like Ramaton, Sidect, and Exifluke mix.
Yeah, you could. The only problem with that is like it's you, like on a compliance standpoint is you'll have there's probably different records for each of those. Correct me if I'm wrong, but different records for each of those drenches.
Yeah,
Um,
I'd reckon. Yeah.
yeah, so you could do that. Like if you want to save time, you could like have like a mix one, and then just add like extra details in the notes here, like if there's extra batch IDs or whatever it is. That could save time. Or you can do what we've just done there and add in multiple applications to that mob.
Yeah.
That's the only two solutions I've got for you right now, though. Yeah.
Yep. No worries.
All right. Thanks, BJ.
Cool. We've got another question come through, Jock.
Yeah.
Just wondering, this is Ian wondering if there is the possibility to edit the financial year. So he'd like to be able to change it from January to December in the reports. So just changing that date range in the
Yeah.
reports.
So in the reports here, there isn't an end of financial year button, but you can change the date here. So we can, I think it's what you're after. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ian or Katie, but you could say, so for a financial year, June 30 or July 1st to June 30. And that's this financial year. Or last financial year, or you can just do it as a range of the calendar year. In the summaries, I think it's a little bit different. So for mob actions, I think all these filters work the same way. No, they don't. I'll go to purchases. Yeah, you can select a year, which I think is a calendar year or a date range there. Yeah, does that help, Ian? Maybe not exactly what you're after, but yeah, if you're wanting something more specific, just yeah, let us know and we'll let our team know exactly what you need. Nice. Alrighty. Well, I'll think is that all the questions so far there, Katie?
Yeah, nothing else come through. We have had a few people just join the webinar. So oh, we've got one. Oh, having trouble unmuting. Hey, no,
Oh,
that's
no worries.
okay. That's okay. Hopefully
We
we
might be able to
answered.
force on. I'll try.
I
We
might be
might
able
be
to
able
do
to
it for
force on
you.
you.
Hopefully. Oh,
Anyway,
it doesn't want to
that's all right. I'll
let
continue.
us unmute, but Ian,
We'll give you a call tomorrow, Ian. How
yeah,
about that?
we'll chat to you later, Ian. But if anyone has any other questions or anything specific they'd like us to go back over, feel free just to comment in the chat.
Well, I'll just make a reminder. All right, cool. I got I got heaps of other things that we could cover as well. So, but I won't take too much of your time. Someone's mentioned that mobile coverage is getting worse in this specific situation, hard New South Wales. But I know that the mobile reception is getting worse everywhere, and internet is harder to come by, especially with Telstra with 5G and stuff like that. Yeah, Mobble does work offline on your phone. We have done a bunch of offline improvements that just got released today, actually. So the offline records should be more up to date on your phone. When you go offline, we're pulling more data we're pulling more data onto your phone and saving onto your phone. So things like paddock histories and mob histories should be there. Maybe not, they won't be there forever, but maybe the first 20 events or something. So that's one thing. And you should be able to update your records offline, and they're saved as an offline request. And actually, we just released a sync all feature as well. So you can do a bunch of mob moves, for instance, offline, and then sync all when you come back into Wi-Fi or back online. Now, there is some situations, probably Harden's a good example, is where you're going in and out of reception, or it's really just quite bad reception. And any app struggles in a situation where the app's trying to reach online, but it's not quite getting there. And so you're trying to do a mob move, and it might get stuck for a while, or it looks like it sent the request, but it didn't quite happen because it's just really bad reception. You can trick the system by forcing it offline. You can put your phone into airplane mode, and it'll force the whole system into offline. And that means, you can create those offline requests safely instead of dealing with really dodgy reception. So that's a little bit of a hack if you're having issues with that offline functionality.
Hey Joe, I'm
Yeah.
just gonna jump in. We've got Robert here, one of our Kiwi farmers. So he's an
Hey,
Australian
Robert.
farmer with a Kiwi farm. So awesome to have you along, Robert. He was just wanting to know a little bit more about the possibility of having fuel as an inventory item. Oh, hi Robert. Feel free to unmute yourself. I'll do it for you. There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, g'day, Robert. Good question.
G'day, Josh.
Yeah, no, I remember seeing your deal come through. So thanks for dropping in. Yeah, so at the moment, inventories for us, we've got feed and storage, we've got animal health, and your chemicals. I understand from, especially on a carbon standpoint, the tracking of fuel usage on the property over time, and understanding how much fuel was used over, say, a quarter, is valuable information. Something we don't have yet, but is it in the carbon reporting side that's interesting for you?
Well, it could be. I don't have any immediate opportunity to make use for carbon reporting because
Yeah.
Basically, well, over here at least, fuel has a tax on it that is taken off before it gets to us. So
Yeah.
basically all the fuel we use is already accounted for.
Right.
No, it was more just as it's one of the most important inventories really that most farms have. And
Yeah.
I think most people want to sort of keep a track of it, make sure that it's not disappearing.
Yeah. It's becoming close, like it's more and more one of the highest requested features, like getting higher and higher up there. Early on, it wasn't requested much at all. But like as we develop the product, that's sort of how we develop features in the future. Is the more feedback we get to do something, and it's sort of the higher it gets on our priority list, and the more likely we'll do it. So I'll let the team know this is something you're after. And I know a lot of farmers are after this. So it's not in our current pipeline to add in fuel inventories into Mobble, but I can definitely see the benefit of it in the future as well, and other inventories as well in there. So yeah, Robert, thanks so much for the feedback.
There's probably can do a workaround with it, just putting it in as a pesticide or a herbicide or something.
Yeah, that's right. So people do a bit of a hack like that, and you can put it into, say, storage. You can put in, say, fuel and how many liters you got in there, and you can actually create an other mob, like for a car, something like that, and you can reduce the fuel over time with that fake mob. So people have done it that way. Yeah.
On the storage though, from what I might be getting it wrong, but I couldn't see a way that you could actually draw down upon that storage as you seem to either be able to, you can put stuff in and you can use it completely.
Yeah.
But unlike the chemical inventories, it doesn't seem to be possible to keep a running balance.
It's actually this has just changed today. So we just earlier in the webinar, we're talking about the release of feed inventories now tracking products over time.
Oh, okay.
So just today we released that. So I just did a demonstration of doing applying some hay units or 4 hay bales out to a mob, and that gets tracked over time now. So it does work like that now.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, maybe you can try and do it that way, and you can let us know how it goes.
All right.
Sounds good. Alrighty.
Hey, Jock, just one more question from BJ, just throwing it back to the ag chem inventory and talking about multiple vaccines in one mob. Say a mob of 1,000 ewes, 660, got a Glanvac 6-in-1 and a 440, got Webster's 6-in-1 without going into minus on the inventory. So yeah, adding the 2 vaccines in a mob without throwing it into the negatives. BJ, do you just want to unmute and maybe chat to us about this?
Yeah, I had we were vaccinating our ewes, and when I put it in the Mobble today, I'm not sure. I think the batch went into minus, but like the inventory said there was enough, but it went into minus where to make up with the Webster's 6-in-1.
Yeah, so two different types of 6-in-1s that you're using. All right, got it.
Yeah, so same product, just 2 different brands. So yeah, a 6-in-1 Glanvac and a 6-in-1 Webster's.
Yeah, got it. Yeah. Yeah, just doing okay. So yeah, you'd have to do in that situation. You'd have to add a mob action. So say we did those 6-in-1s of these weathers, you do 660 affected by the Glanvac one. So I'll do the 5-in-1, but for example, and then so your number affected, and then you do the rest of the mob with the other one if you want to be that accurate.
Yeah, so it'd be very similar to your mixing of that drench you were speaking of.
Yeah,
You'd have to put in the number of affected animals with the 6-in-1, the weapons, and then the.
If you wanted to be 100% accurate, you'd have to do it that way. Yeah, you have to do 2 different actions. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Nice. No worries. Alrighty. Well, look, just a few anecdotes to finish up on. I want to thank everyone so much for coming. Any last questions, please drop them in. But I will give you a couple of things to get excited for. So things we're working on right now. So we're working on backdating days grays, rested counters. So this is one of the highest requested things. So with mob movements at the moment, it's really hard for us to backdate information. It's just the way the software works or the way the data works. But these days grazed and days rested counters, we are looking into ways where we can backdate them. So if you move a mob a few days ago and you forgot to put it into Mobble, hopefully we'll be able to backdate these days rested and days grazed counters soon. Other thing I was talking about earlier, we're adding in stock units for New Zealand SU. And we're adding in LSU and AE, other types of stock units. So you can choose your stock unit that you prefer to use in Mobble as well. And that's probably a few months away, but we're doing the discovery on that right now. So a couple of things we're working on. Robert, last question there. It'd be good to use batches on a first in, first out basis. What do you mean by that? Sorry, I'm just trying to get my head around it.
Jock, just say, went the example of those vaccines, and let's assume that's actually the same vaccine, but you've got a whole lot of batches that you've bought.
Yeah.
Rather than it going to a negative quantity for a certain batch that you've used, and rather than having to say, oh well, I used this on 250 sheep, and then I changed batches, and then I used it on another 250 sheep, which is just a pain.
Yeah.
It would be good to say, well, I used vaccine. Obviously, I used up the older stuff first, and once that's gone, it's gone, and I start eating into the most recent batch. That would just make it a lot easier to manage, rather than having to fiddle around or have negative quantities
Mm. Yeah, no, I think that's a really good idea. Would it work like this? Now I'm going to go in problem solving mode. Would it work like this if you could add in two types of like two batches like this, or two different types of batches, pretend they're different. And then you could say this was applied to 300 head and this was applied to 300 head in the same action. Oh, then it equals 600 total. That might be a little bit easier, but I can see what you mean, because you don't know when it's going to hit zero, so you don't know, when you flick over to the next batch, or when you've done that, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's easier because the trouble is that the staff aren't going to do anything that's complicated.
No.
They'll say that I vaccinated 1,000 sheep, but that's as much as they want to do. And then it'd be good if the inventory sorted itself out, and it said that, okay, all those older batches are gone, and you've got maybe 400 doses remaining or something.
That's a really good idea. I think it's something, maybe I'm going to note this down and maybe talk to the team about it, tomorrow. But yeah, we just released this, so this sort of feedback's perfect. Like, we're just trying to work out the best way to do it is. But yeah, I think we can do something smart there. I'll note it down and pass the feedback on. Thanks, Robert.
On that note, Jock, another question about the grain inventory come through from Mel. Just wondering if you could put a value on it per ton, so that when feeding or doing a mix, you'd know how much each load would cost.
Yeah, we're sort of getting closer to that equation. We never really wanted to go down this sort of more accounting side of things, but we kind of are getting closer to that. So when you add a batch, say, so you got hay here, I'll view this item. I don't have much information. It's just hay, what inventory it in, how many quantity units there are, and the notes. But in the batches, we have a price per unit. So I can add a batch, gives a supplier name, enter the quantity. It's been released today, so you might have not seen this. And then the price per the quantity, and then the price per unit. It could be like price per kilo, depending on what unit you put in here. So $300 a bale, something like that. And you can add that. So the information, we are storing it. And the next level would be for us to show that within, say, a mob action, of how much it actually costs to do that mob action, to do that feed out to that mob, and showing that in a more meaningful way. So yeah, I think it's something we're getting closer. We're getting towards. The data's there. It's just a matter of showing it. Yeah. All right, it's hit 7:47 now, so over 45 minutes. So I'm going to wrap it up right now. I've got your feedback there, Robert. I'll pass it on as well. And thanks everyone for coming. There'll be a recording of this webinar going around. This is on every month. So if you have any questions, you can always drop in to this one and talk to me live. Which is a great way. I really enjoy it. It's a great way for us to get feedback and learn more about how you're using Mobble and how we can make it better, and hopefully it helps you guys use it a lot better as well. For those of you that's dropped in that haven't used Mobble before, please check out our website and start a free trial. Give it a bit of a crack. During the trial, you get a call from us, and he'll help you get set up. And yeah, I'd love to hear how it went for you guys. So thanks so much for your time, and everyone have lovely nights, and go enjoy the rest of your night with your family. Cheers.